and I just realized my mic is not on, and I've been talking without my mic on for the last 4 minutes. So, just to recap, because I just realized my mic's not on. Oh boy. It's Monday, December the 16th. We have just about a week from Christmas. Holy cow, Christmas is in about a week. 2025 is in a couple of weeks. Need to end 2024 on a bang. So, while people couldn't hear me, which is my fault, because, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Drones. We're going to dive into the drones being seen over New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, other states. There's been reports of drones in some other states. Nobody knows where they came from. There's been theories about some sort of drone mothership from Iran. There's been theories about, hey, these are actually our drones. And Adam Kinzinger says, nope. I know better than everybody because I'm the smartest man in the world. They're airplanes. That's right. They're not drones. Nothing to see here. They're just airplanes. So we'll dive into that. Nancy Pelosi had hip replacement surgery over the weekend after she fell and broke her hip in Luxembourg. Which reminds me, the U.S. House and Senate, it's time for term limits. I know they're not going to do it. They're not going to want to give up their power, but it's time for term limits in the U.S. Congress. I mean, it's ridiculous. Mitch McConnell last week falls, breaks his face. Nancy Pelosi falls, breaks her hip, has to have hip replacement surgery. And what do those two have in common? They're both 84 years old. And really shouldn't be serving in government anymore. They're out of touch. They would rather die in office than give up their power. Because quite honestly, the United States is a constitutional republic or a representative republic. We're a republic. We elect people to go represent us, the people in Washington, D.C. And people in Washington, D.C. don't seem to understand that anymore. They don't represent us. They represent themselves. Look at how these people get elected into office. What's the salary for a congressperson right now? Like $174,000 a year. But when they leave office, they've made millions. And their net worth skyrocket. So we'll dive into that a little bit. What else we got here? God, weekends aren't long enough. They are simply not long enough. Oh yeah, Donald Trump. A little bit of Donald Trump news. He won a settlement with ABC News. And got an apology for George Stephanopoulos, and we'll dive into that a little bit too. While I'm on here, again, apologize for the for the first 4 minutes of no sound, which some of you probably would applaud. But you know what? I'm new to this. I make mistakes. I'm not afraid to admit it. So, you know what? It is what it is. So, hope everybody had a good weekend. Had a great weekend. I was planning on going to watch Kraven the Hunter on Saturday, but instead, we went shopping. And man, was it busy this weekend. International Place Mall in Tampa was packed. The line for Santa was long. And all we did is go to Dick's Sporting Goods just to check out the new store that opened a couple months back. Hadn't been there yet. Tampa Premium Outlets was packed. Had a hard time finding a place to park. Had a hard time getting out of Tampa Premium Outlets. The traffic was bad. So yeah, I didn't make it to go see Kraven the Hunter, and apparently I didn't miss much. Some other streamers have a rule that they won't comment on something they don't watch. I generally will not review something I don't watch, but I will report on box office, news articles that I see about things, but I will not do a review on something I haven't watched. Which Kraven the Hunter, I have not watched yet. Man, it had a bad weekend. I think it's safe to say, Sony, you need to make a new Spider-Man movie, even if it is in partnership with Marvel Studios, part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because what you're doing now ain't working outside of Venom. Even Venom is, the first two Venom movies were good. I saw them both. Have not seen the third one yet. Plan on watching it on streaming now that it's out on streaming. And just what they're doing ain't working. You can't make Spider-Man, you cannot have a Spider-Verse without Spider-Man in it. It just ain't gonna work. So Sony needs to make a decision. That is, let's make a new Spider-Man movie, even with Marvel Studios, and make it part of the MCU, or make it part of our own standalone Spider-Verse. Because Spider-Man equals money. Spider-Man equals cash. People will go see Spider-Man. People are not going to go see Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter should be in a Spider-Man movie as the villain, not his own movie as an anti-hero, but I digress. So let's jump into it here. Drones. This story popped up late last week. And I don't know what to make of it. So here we have the first story here from Breitbart. New Jersey Mayor Melham state told us to call bomb squad where hazmat if drone is downed like it's an attack. This was on the Faulkner Focus on the Fox News channel last Friday, and I'm just going to play this clip for you here. It's about 4 minutes long. But this drone story is crazy. I mean, where are they coming from? Is it the U.S. government? Is it a foreign entity, a foreign power? But let's play this clip here.
Michael Melham is the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey. Now, when you walked up to set just moments ago, you said you were just briefed. What can you tell us?
On the way here, I was on the phone with my OEM team, and we now have guidance coming from the state. And that guidance does say two different things. First of all, if there is a downed drone in our vicinity, we are immediately to call the bomb squad of our county. And second, our fire department has been instructed to make sure they wear hazmat suits.
So if something falls out of the sky that people have seen, and some of these things are as big as an SUV, if that happens, you're to treat this more than a plane crash. It's treated like an attack on the homeland?
That is correct, because they're not quite sure if there's a payload or not. And that's what we were told during our briefing on Wednesday.
Wow. So look, you said that you were insulted by how the Pentagon and the White House, their messaging coming out. Tell me what you're hearing from them, and why doesn't it match what you were just told moments ago?
So we're being told that people in New Jersey must be crazy, that they're only seeing small aircraft, and that's just not the case. If you're on the ground, New Jersey,
Your lying eyes. That's what the Biden administration's saying is nothing to see here. Even though you physically saw that drone in the air, your eyes are lying to you. you didn't really these aren't the drones you're looking for. Is basically what the government's saying. They're not there. You didn't see them.
Residents are concerned, and they're quite alarmed because they have no idea what's hovering just over their houses.
Have you seen these?
I have.
And how would you describe it?
They are definitely small aircraft. I mean, you got to understand, a drone is considered an aircraft because it's flying in unrestricted space or restricted space. So it's considered an aircraft. These do look like a small aircraft. There's no doubt about that. They don't look like the personal drones that we're used to seeing. But they're very large, very large.
All right, let me get to this. After several lawmakers have called for authorities to shoot down the drones, now residents say that they'll just have to take matters into their own hands if the government is refusing to act. A couple of social media posts representing that sentiment now. A good shotgun will fix that problem. Another semi-automatic 3-inch Magnum, 00 buck full shot. Let me ask you this, because also what you told me as you were sitting down, we had quite the conversation. There are several theories, and then some people based on high-level conversations, like our own New Jersey Representative Jeff Van Drew, Tony Gonzalez, congressman out of Texas, are saying they're having high-level conversations with law enforcement and also experts who are saying that there's a possibility that there's an Iranian mothership with drones. Now, you sat down and told me something even more disturbing.
Yeah, so what we've been told, we had an unprecedented briefing on Wednesday. I mean, 200 state mayors were all gathered together, and we learned exactly what the state of New Jersey learned, which is very little. But the thing that we did take...
Just how he says, yeah, we had a briefing, and we learned exactly, what the state of New Jersey learned, which is very little. We learned absolutely nothing. We had a briefing that told us nothing.
Take away from that was that we were told very point blank that these drones are hovering over our critical infrastructure. Now, that's interesting because they're not doing any harm. They're just hovering over that. We're also told that there's no credible threat. When you start putting things together that they're telling us, critical infrastructure.
Hovering over critical infrastructure, but no credible threat. To me, that sounds like surveillance. I don't know about you guys, but that's what it sounds like to me. Why would drones just hover over critical infrastructure? Power plants, military bases, things of importance, especially on the East Coast in a highly populated area.
No credible threat. They're unwilling to shoot them down. They're unwilling to do a temporary ban. And we can see them that they have lights on them. So something's not adding up here. It sounds like it might very well be our highest level government. It might be government assets that are being deployed as a countermeasure.
As a countermeasure. And so two things can be true. We know the timeline, according to Van Drew and others, matches when this so-called mothership, whatever it is, left Iran and appeared somewhere off our eastern seaboard. Now, if it were chock full of drones and it released those drones, that timeline fits, according to Van Drew and others. So if that's the case, of course, then we would put things in the sky because
if they are our own drones and they are our own drones doing surveillance or some sort of countermeasures, then why not just come out and say so? Instead of the public having to guess what's going on. I mean, yeah, I get it. There are some things that are supposed to be secret. There's some things you're not supposed to announce. But when people start seeing drones hovering over airports, military bases, power plants, water treatment facilities, you name it, why not just come out and say, yeah, it's an operation that we're engaged in, and leave it at that?
The government would know. Look, it forces all of us to try to do some sort of calculation of why the government wouldn't just say something.
They have to speak. I mean, they have to be transparent. There's no doubt about that, because what else is happening is now conspiracy theories are starting to flood social media.
What happens?
Conspiracy theories are starting to flood social media. Where have we heard that before? And how many of those conspiracy theories that we heard before from approximately almost 5 years ago, came true? Pretty good percentage of them.
If somebody shoots one of these down, how does the law look at that?
Well, we were advised to make sure that we tell our residents that that is not lawful. Drones are considered aircraft, and FAA, you cannot shoot an aircraft in New Jersey. So we're being advised to tell our residents not to shoot them down.
Are you worried?
We're concerned because, one, New Jersey can't act. We don't have the ability to take them out of the air.
Mayor Melham, thank you for being here. Appreciate it, and all the breaking news that you brought us too.
So that was last Friday on the Faulkner Focus over on Fox. Chris Christie. Good old Chris Christie, Mr. McDonald's himself. He's out there saying without federal information, drone vigilantes are going to start taking them down. This was on ABC News This Week, yesterday. And there's a common thread here. And the common thread is lack of information from the government. So let's play this little clip here from ABC News.
Back
Thank you, George.
to this week, you're a New Jersey resident. Have you seen any drones?
Yeah. 2 mornings ago, over my house at 6:15 in the morning. Saw them myself, so did my wife. And so, yeah, they're there. And I've been traveling around New Jersey as I normally do all week. And I can't tell you the number of people who have come up to me concerned about it. And that's
But is this a mass hysteria of some sort?
Well, here's why, George. Because of answers like the secretary just gave. They're not answering the questions.
Well, he said they're monitoring it. They haven't seen any unusual activity, and they need.
Leave it to George Stephanopoulos to basically question the questions, which is crazy, to try to defend information not coming out about drones flying over critical infrastructure.
Need more authority.
Let me tell you something. I agree that they need more authority, but to not say that this is not unusual activity, it's just wrong. I lived in New Jersey my whole life. This is the first time that I've noticed drones over my house. And I was in a restaurant in Monmouth County on Friday night, had people at the bar coming up to me and saying, Governor Murphy won't tell me anything. The president won't tell me anything. Do you know? Like, well, I don't know, but I will tell you this. I think this is what happens in our society now, George, because we're used to having things so rapidly. If you don't fill that vacuum, then all the conspiracy theories get filled in there. So you've got people like Congressman Jeff Van Drew saying there's an Iranian mothership off the coast of New Jersey.
True.
Absolutely not true.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. Don't say it's absolutely not true. You just said yourself you don't have any information, Chris Christie, but that you're trying to debunk a sitting senator with information that he has. Leads to more questions.
And provably now not true. And he's had to back off that. You can't have conspiracy theorists filling the space, but the Biden administration and state authorities have to be more vocal and let people know exactly what they're doing. This interview this morning was a bit of a better step, but I think much too little too late. And when people see this kind of activity, it's a newish technology to most people, and they're worried about it and concerned. And to the extent they're following things around the world, they hear about drones being deployed in Ukraine all the time as weapons. And us deploying drones as weapons at times. So you can see why people are concerned, and it's a lack of communication from the government at the federal and state level that's at fault here.
So you don't think it's this kind of thing where once people become focused on it, they naturally see things that they wouldn't necessarily have paid attention to in the past?
I think that there's some of that, but I can tell you from the activity, I mean, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not looking for things I don't need. At 6:15 yesterday morning, 2 mornings ago, that was a drone over my house. And I'd never seen anything like that before, and I've been living at that house for 30 years.
So if you were governor right now, what kind of authority?
Okay, enough of Chris Christie. I can't. Can't take it. Can't take it. Chris Christie, can't take it. This is from the Post Millennial. This has gone too far. New York governor demands feds take action after drones block airport runway. This was posted on the 14th, so that would have been on Saturday. Last night, the runways at Stewart Airfield were shut down for approximately 1 hour due to drone activity in the airspace. This has gone too far. Governor Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, is demanding that the Biden-Harris administration step in and take care of drones seen in New York after the apparent aircraft shut down a runway in the Empire State. This comes as mysterious drone sightings have been reported in various locations across the country. She released a statement, says, last night, the runways at Stewart Airfield were shut down for approximately 1 hour due to drone activity in the airspace. This has gone too far. The FBI, as well as the Department of Homeland Security, however, have claimed that they have not seen evidence that the mysterious sightings, at least in New Jersey, are a national security threat. Oh, people. If the FBI and DHS are saying they're not a threat, and nothing else is being said by a foreign entity or even our own government, you have to treat it as a threat. It's like the Chinese balloon that flew across the country and made it halfway across the country before anybody said anything about it, and they shot it down. Drone sightings have been reported across New York City and Long Island. Additionally, other sightings have been reported in the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. Other reported sightings have made Americans concerned. An officer said he witnessed over 50 drones on the coast of New Jersey. We contacted state police. We contacted the FBI. We contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat, and they reported seeing 13 drones following the boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet. President Trump chimed in, or I should say President-elect Trump. I'll still call him President Trump. He was the 45th president. President Trump calls for the mysterious drones across the country to be shot down if the U.S. government truly has no knowledge of them. Yeah, they should. This was posted on Friday the 13th last week. President-elect Donald Trump weighs in on reports of drone sightings reported across the U.S., calling for them to be shot down if the government has no knowledge of them. I'd have to say I'd agree with that. If you don't know where they're from, what they're doing, shoot them down. The FBI and DHS released a joint statement on Thursday about sightings in New Jersey, stating we have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat and have a foreign nexus. The joint statement also claimed that upon further review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft operating lawfully. There are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. So again, people that are seeing these, they're told you're lying eyes. This is from ABC News. Drone sighting temporarily shuts down runways at New York Airport. I already covered that. Here's video.
Time now for our social story. Every week, we're doing our coverage now. What do you think is going on here?
The broader growing small drone threat, which is real. I think there's a lot of hysteria right now and uncertainty because the government does not have the capabilities or the authorities to detect and defeat to small drones. And they need to rectify that and rectify that quickly because we're seeing that this is a growing threat. Northcom has said there have been over to check them all. So right now, there's confusion because there are multiple agencies that are involved in this. There's Homeland Security, there are local government and law enforcement agencies, there's the Pentagon. and the Federal Aviation Administration. And this patchwork of different organizations have overlapping responsibilities, and there's no one clear organization that.
No, this is a screen grab from a video that was taken on November 30th, 2024 in Mendham Township, New Jersey. Person taking the video believes it shows several drones in the sky, although ABC News cannot confirm exactly what the video shows. Looks like drones to me. Just right off hand. This was published on Saturday at the New York Post. New Jersey senator says feds are too fearful of public reaction to tell the truth about mysterious drones.
Of my belief that government is really being honest. Now, there's been some apparently top secret briefings, right, with Congress people. Now, they come out of that, and I heard Josh Gottheimer come, the representative, and he said, well, I'm not getting a lot of information, but I don't think it's a threat. So my guess is there is information, but they're holding it back. And now what you have is panic.
Well, let's see here. Another story in the New York Post. Joe Rogan says he's genuinely concerned about drone sightings after new theory emerges.
Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys. There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really. The only reason why you would ever fly an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas.
So, podcast king Joe Rogan said Sunday the mysterious drones that have buzzed around the tri-state area left him genuinely concerned after watching a video that floated an unverified theory about the unmanned devices sniffing out harmful substances. John Ferguson, CEO of a remote aircraft system company in Kansas, claimed in a drawn-out TikTok video on Saturday that the drones are attempting to smell, quote-unquote, either a gas leak, radioactive material, or something else on the ground. The reason why you would ever fly an unmanned aircraft at night is if you're looking for something, which is the clip I just played. Ferguson added that the theory was his best guess based on his expertise and just his opinion on the drone mystery that's gripped the East Coast, and admitted, I've not bounced this off anybody. So if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around, he said in his TikTok video. But the theory resonated with many online, including Rogan, who offered his 2 cents on the drones that have unnerved New Jersey and New York residents for weeks. This is the first video about these drones that has got me genuinely concerned, he wrote on X Sunday. The popular podcast host previously called the claims from the U.S. government sus after White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said the drones were not a public safety concern and many other reported sightings are actually manned aircraft. I'm sorry. This does not look like a map of manned aircraft. Just not. It's not. It's not manned aircraft. Those are drones, in my opinion. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandra Mayorkas also downplayed concerns about the drones on Sunday, claiming part of the sightings are based on relaxed regulations that allow the devices to fly at night. Mayorkas also stressed that if the department has deployed personnel and technology, and if there is any reason for concern, if we identify any foreign involvement or criminal activity, we will communicate with the American people accordingly. Well, you haven't so far. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody should come out. KGP, maybe. I'm sure Peter Doocy will ask the question today in the White House press briefing. And what the funniest thing about this is, and this is actually brought Republicans and Democrats together. Of all things, drones flying over New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania has brought Republicans and Democrats together. Never thought I'd see that happen. I did not have that on my 2024 bingo card. A wide range of polls, both Republicans and Democrats have been making noise about the seemingly endless drone sightings in the tri-state area. Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer, called on the feds to deploy radar technology to identify the swarms of drones. You have Kirsten Gillibrand, Cory Booker, and Andy Kim sent a letter to the FBI, Homeland Security, and the FAA last week demanding an explanation about what they're going to do to identify and address the source of these incursions. Again, this could have all been avoided if somebody would just came out and said either A, yes, we know these are from a foreign entity, be it Iran, China, whoever, or B, yes, we deployed the drones ourselves. They are ours. Could have avoided a lot of this, but this is par for the course from the Biden administration. They like to play this game. It's like I mentioned with the Chinese balloon earlier this year. They knew about it, didn't say anything about it until somebody saw it somewhere over South Dakota. Or was it North Dakota? Anyway, somewhere over the Dakotas. And then they did something about it. And having to be reactionary is not the way to be. You need to be proactive in these types of situations. Otherwise, this is what you get. This was posted yesterday. What we know about the mysterious drones reported over the East Coast from CNN. This isn't the plot of War of the Worlds, but rather the result of numerous unidentified possible drone sightings in the East Coast in recent weeks. The possible drones have been spotted over residential neighborhoods, restricted sites, and critical infrastructure. Sightings have put intense pressure on federal agencies to provide more information about the aircraft, as officials have urged calm and emphasized there is no evidence suggesting the sightings pose a security threat. How do you know? How do you know? Let's play this little video from CNN.
The mystery widens. Today, people in the New York metro area are reporting a growing number of drone sightings in their communities following a wave of mysterious drone appearances in the skies over New Jersey. This is sparking significant concern among residents and local and state leaders. The White House and the FBI says there is no evidence that the drones pose a national security threat or have a foreign connection, but that's only adding to the confusion. So far, there are no explanations as to what they are, where they're coming from, or who is launching them. For weeks now, the drones have been spotted over homes, critical infrastructure, and sensitive government sites. Today, frustrated lawmakers have gone from asking questions to demanding answers.
New Jersey can't become the Wild West of drone activity. No state can become the Wild West of drone activity. I've made this very clear to the FBI, to Homeland Security, and the FAA, the agencies chiefly responsible for monitoring drone activity. They must immediately disclose more information to the public. It's totally and completely unacceptable that you have all this drone activity going on that people are seeing with their own eyes. The fact that the federal agencies responsible for briefing the public have not come forward in a clear way is unacceptable. There has to be some explanation to the public for all this increased activity, and they must do so now.
Let's discuss these mysterious drones with former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Tom Adams. He actually helped pioneer the FBI's counter-drone program used to respond to threats from unmanned aircraft. Thank you so much for being with us, Tom. First off, what do you think is behind these drones? Do you think it's more likely to be some kind of concerted surveillance effort, an issue of misidentification, or copycats?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I think we're looking at a few different things. First, I do believe that there are probably some legitimate visual drone sightings by alert residents and law enforcement in New Jersey. Now, what these drones may be doing, if they're nefarious or not, we don't know. Are or not following FAA rules and regulations? That's up for debate. I think we're probably seeing some copycat drones flying up in the air with all the media attention. So we're seeing a combination of that. And I do also agree with the DOJ or the FBI and DHS assessment that some of these blinking lights in the sky are actually crewed aircraft that are navigating the airspace. During many operations that I was involved with, as well as investigations into suspected drone sightings at critical infrastructure, it was common for things like planets, believe it or not, low Earth orbit satellites and crewed aircraft to sometimes be misidentified. But I think the big point here that we're seeing is that the vulnerability is being demonstrated that current federal laws and regulations really limit the types of tools and technologies that owners and operators of critical infrastructure can deploy, as well as state and local law enforcement. So we haven't had any meaningful counter-UAS legislation since 2018. So I think we're well past due for lawmakers in Congress to get to work and to shore up some of those vulnerabilities that we have.
I want you to expand on that, but first I'm curious about how officials can make the determination that there isn't a public safety threat if they don't actually know whether some of these drones may be nefarious or not, or conducting nefarious activity.
Yeah, so you can't look at a drone or a blinking light in the sky and really determine whether it is or is not a threat. I think that some of these suspected sightings, when you look at some of the videos, they look like smaller drones, or they potentially look like crewed aircraft that may be landing at nearby airports. I mean, that area and corridor of the East Coast is full of air.
All right. So basically, I do agree with the fact that with all the attention that this has attracted over the last few days, that, yeah, there could be people that are launching drones because they know it's going to get attention. So I would agree with that. You know, there is a, how do I want to say this? There is a thing for copycats, something that's popular. So drones are getting all this attention, so I'm going to launch mine, which could get somebody in trouble, but you know. CNN also put out this article this morning, why you shouldn't try to shoot down a suspected drone. Here's a quote here. While I understand the frustration that mystery drones may cause, taking matters into private hands by firing at drones creates significant dangers. That's from Rick Smith, founder and CEO of Axon, which manufactures anti-drone technology. Shooting down a drone could essentially turn it into a missile, and large drones crashing on land could cause severe property damage and injury. Yeah, just think of a small aircraft. So he's not wrong. The risks of uncontrolled drone crashes could make the situation far more dangerous than the drones themselves. Smith's comments also echo those of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who told CNN's Wolf Blitzer on Friday that attempting to shoot possible drones from the sky in and of itself would be dangerous. So they're not wrong by saying, hey, don't take matters into your own hands. Just don't fire at them. Don't try to shoot them down, especially in a highly populated area, because that's going to do more harm than good, possibly. But we've had drones sighted, like we said, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota, California, San Diego area, Riverside County, which is wine country, which I believe is just north of San Francisco. Now, gonna get to my favorite representative. I don't get blocked often on Twitter or X, but I wear this one as a badge because I can't stand this smug little punk, Adam Kinzinger. to me, he's a whiny crybaby. I'm ashamed that he's from my home state of Illinois. I mean, you put in your Twitter handle the Ukrainian flag and your support for Ukraine. Well, if you support Ukraine so much, Adam, why don't you go there, please? So let's hear what this mental midget has to say, and I really don't care. I'm just playing this for your information so you can hear the bleh that's coming out of his mouth.
Let's talk further now with former Congressman Adam Kinzinger.
Because he's the foremost authority on this. He knows it all.
Good to see you, Congressman. So, you know, what do you make of how federal agencies have thus far responded to these sightings so far? Secretary Mayorkas saying, you know, we're looking at them. They pose no national threat at this time. Is enough being said or done to reassure people?
I mean, look, if people don't want to be reassured, then the answer is no. And, you know, look, what I'm hearing from Homeland and what I'm hearing from FBI is we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes.
What? I'm playing the same videos. I'm showing the same photos. They're not all airplanes, Adam. They're not moving like airplanes.
They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet. And I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran, it's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally. There have been no accusations of illegal operations. By the way, as a pilot myself, I can fly over a military base whenever I want. Those restrictions don't exist. So I think there's a lot of mass hysteria, and I've heard.
Adam, while you're saying that that's an airplane on video, that's a drone. Okay? And I get what you're saying about how it could be a private company flying and testing drones. According to the TikTok video I just played earlier, they don't do it at night. There's no reason to fly a drone at night. So, again, this could be taken care of real simply by the U.S. government, by the Biden administration, and it's simply to come out and say, listen, either said it earlier, either A, it's a foreign entity, or B, those are ours, and we're doing surveillance, or we have information and we're doing counter surveillance, or whatever the case may be. But you have to come out and tell the public what's going on.
Stories of people pointing lasers at these quote unquote drones and then the drones lights go off. Actually, let's be clear. I've been lased as a pilot before. You're supposed to turn off all your lights once you get lased so that they can't find you because it can actually damage your.
So that's the genius Adam Kinzinger. According to him, he solved it. Mystery solved. They're all airplanes. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Over on X, we've got a lot of posts about drones going back to as far back as December 11th. Here's a report of a
So the
lady-
drones are coming from the inside of the ocean.
After seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted
50 drones coming off the ocean. Hey, Adam, are those all airplanes?
the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow. And more than a month since these reports started, the federal government.
So Putin is advising all Russians in the United States to leave the U.S. And now we have all these drones flying in our airspace over New Jersey, and multiple people in different states are also reporting the same thing. Some people are actually reporting that there is something spraying into the air from these drones. And our government is telling us they have no clue what it is. Wouldn't you think this would be a #1 priority for our government to figure out what the fuck is in our airspace and if it's a threat to the American people? The FBI is saying they have no clue what the fuck it is. That's because our government knows exactly what is in our airspace. This is giving me Leave the World Behind vibes. If you guys have never seen that movie, it is produced by Obama's production company. Yeah, President Obama. Go watch it on Netflix. People are reporting that there's Teslas, and I've seen multiple videos. Teslas in the middle of parking lots, late at night, their lights are all flashing, and supposedly it's firmware software upgrades. But ask yourself this, why is that not something that's viral on TikTok for years and years and years? Of why are these Teslas in the middle of this parking lot just flashing their lights? We all would have known the answer to that a long time ago when Teslas came out. All I know at the end of the day is I don't have a good feeling about this.
Okay. She started off with Putin and Russia. Oh, gosh. This is not Putin and Russia. They have their own problems over there. Especially with the last, 3 years, almost 3 years with Ukraine and the conflict over there. They have their own issues. But everything else that this girl is saying outside of the Tesla thing, I've never seen that before. Never witnessed that. Does kind of make some sense. Here's a video from a door cam. Yeah, those aren't planes. Those are drones. At least to my eye, those are drones. Here's a military expert that says we're seeing 2 types of drones. So let's see.
I'm making this video because I have figured out what the drone situation is. I was in the Army, active duty. I worked on drones. I was a maintenance NCO for some surveillance drones. And before that, I worked on the Apache, the Kiowa. I know aviation. So what people are not noticing is that you have 2 separate types of drones and 2 separate types of things in the air right now. First off, the drones that you see with flight lights or anti-collision lights or the things that the FAA requires, those are drones that are probably operated by the United States government. Now, the orbs that you've been seeing on the internet, that is the reason why all those drones are up there. And that is also why the government isn't telling you what's going on. And that's because the drones that you see that look like regular aircraft, those drones are up there to get some information on the actual orbs, which are actually the UFO.
Well, see, this makes sense what this guy's saying. Don't know his credentials. even though he does state that he's former military, worked on drones, so on and so forth. What he said there makes sense and is logical. Now, if this is true, why can't the government just come out and say that? Why is it so hard to say, yeah, we've launched some drones because we're seeing an object in the sky and we need to investigate? So I don't know what you guys think about drones, but that's all the information that I can that I've gathered so far as it pertains to the last few days over the East Coast and a little bit over the Midwest, a little bit over California. So what do you guys think about this drone situation? Again, it all could have been solved real easy. The government just comes out and says, hey, look, those are ours. Here's what we're doing. Could have been real simple. So it's definitely a Monday. Definitely a Monday. So what else is going on out there? Well, let's talk about this, shall we? I mentioned this at the beginning after my little snafu with the microphone, not turning it on. Donald Trump. He scored a settlement with ABC News. He sued ABC News for defamation. After some things that George Stephanopoulos said about his E. Jean Carroll case. And this is this could open the door for more folks because, you know, CBS has got some things out there that, even though that's probably a weaker case, that could be considered, you know, defamation or liable. I mean, I'm no attorney. What do I know? But very similar situation. So this is from the Post Millennial. Trump wins $15 million settlement from ABC in defamation suit against George Stephanopoulos. Say that 3 times fast. Claimed he was found liable for an R word. Not going to say it here on the live stream because I want to keep it monetized. ABC News and George Stephanopoulos regret statements regarding President Donald J. Trump made during an interview by George Stephanopoulos with Representative Nancy Mace on ABC This Week on March 10th, 2024. So he's got to pay out $15 million, or ABC News is going to pay out $15 million to President-elect Donald Trump. According to Fox News, the top banker as well as ABC will have to shell out the $15 million after Stephanopoulos claimed that Trump was liable for some bad stuff during an interview with Nancy Mace. ABC News, George Stephanopoulos regrets statements made regarding President Donald J. Trump made during an interview by George Stephanopoulos with Representative Nancy Mace on ABC's This Week on March 10, 2024. An apology from the network stated. Settlement agreement stated ABC shall cause a transfer in the amount of $15 million to be made to a presidential foundation and museum to be established by or for plaintiff, as presidents of the United States of America have established in the past, in full settlement and satisfaction of plaintiffs' released claims. The agreement also required that ABC issues an apology over the claims made by Stephanopoulos in an editor's note on an article published on May 10th, 2024. Settlement was publicly disclosed on Saturday to reveal the payment to not only Trump, but also $1 million in legal fees to Trump's attorney. When Mace appeared on the network with Stephanopoulos, He asked her how she could endorse Trump when judges in 2 separate juries have found him liable for bad things to women and for defaming the victim of that bad thing. Trying to be politically correct here. He repeated the claim 10 times over the air with Mace when the jury had actually ruled Trump was liable for abuse in the E. Jean Carroll case. The settlement between Trump and ABC News came after Trump, as well as Stephanopoulos, were ordered to sit down for depositions in the lawsuit. So, there's that. Now, over at MSNBC, one Simone Sanders was not happy with the settlement at all. In fact, I'm going to play the video because, man, and they wonder why their ratings are tanking.
The press is in a difficult position. Everyone understands that. That doesn't change the obligation to be straightforward and objective when it comes to Donald Trump.
I would just say, I mean, this feels like it has a real chilling effect. Like, I mean, shout out to the standards department. Okay, standards is always making sure that we are keeping the bar high and substantive and accurate. But what George Stephanopoulos said in that interview, I mean, it seems to hold up with what the judge said after the fact. And now his news organization and himself, George Stephanopoulos himself, is paying $1 million of his own money to the lawyers, and ABC $15 million. It's insane.
See, this was a civil case, which, by the way, the laws changed in New York so E. Jean Carroll could bring this case. And E. Jean Carroll is just crazy. This case should have been thrown out with the statements she made on numerous TV shows, on MSNBC, on CNN. But it is New York, and it was all about, at the time, getting Donald Trump. So MSNBC Simone Sanders Townsend has blasted ABC News and George Stephanopoulos after the chief anchor and the broadcaster he works for agreed to settle a $15 million defamation lawsuit between the network and Donald Trump. But it was not just Democrat-leaning commentators who appeared unhappy with the settlement. Republicans also appeared frustrated with the news organization, believing the company should have been forced to pay more, while hoping other broadcasters might also soon be brought to account. During MSNBC's The Weekend Sunday, Sanders Townsend argued that Stephanopoulos' remarks appeared to her to be factually accurate when viewed in the broader context of the case. She suggested that the settlement raises questions about its potential implications for journalistic freedom, adding how the payout towards Trump has a chilling effect. Sanders Townsend expressed concern that the settlement could set a troubling precedent for the media going forward. But what George Stephanopoulos said in that interview, it seems to hold up what the judge said, and now his news organization and himself have to pay out some bucks. Legal columnist Hillary Littman, formerly with the Los Angeles Times, was also not impressed with ABC's settling of the suit. I got to think that the ABC boardroom was involved in this decision somehow, Littman said on MSNBC, and my big worry is it is somehow caught up in the fact he would be president soon. Keep in mind, ABC is owned by Disney. So it's not, this is par for the course for anything that Disney owns or is in charge of. So how the boardroom affected the legal room here, I hope we will learn. But given the timing, he is on a role that is really unsettling in terms of public confidence in the criminal justice system and media confidence, and who is left after the media to tell the truth. Well, sorry, MSNBC. You guys haven't been telling the truth for years. And as Elon says constantly on X, We are the media now, the citizen journalists who don't go to you for news stories anymore. I myself, I don't go to the MSNBCs very often or CNNs very often. I look for alternative sources like New York Post. Seems to be pretty fair, pretty balanced. Post Millennial, Breitbart. Even the Daily Mail can be pretty balanced in my opinion. Sometimes I do put out some stuff out there that's just batshit crazy, but Mark Elias, a Democratic election lawyer, accused ABC News of bending the knee and kissing the ring by settling. Knee bet, ring kissed. Another legacy news outlet chooses obedience. Another reporter, Justin Baragana, formerly of the Daily Beast, now with the Independent, wrote on Blue Sky, this sets a worrisome precedent. You know, I've seen it over the years, how the media, and don't get me wrong, the mainstream legacy media, the MSNBCs, the CNNs, NBC, CBS, ABC, they've been in the tank for years. And they all purport to protect democracy. It's all about democracy. Protect democracy. Well, it's to protect their own democracy. It's protect their own power. It's because they're all part of the same club. And I, for one, am happy to see this because it's gonna put them on notice that you cannot be doing what you've been doing for the last 10 years. In fact, it's been longer than 10 years. It's gone on since the Clinton administration back in the mid-90s. It just wasn't as prominent as it is now back then. My question is who's he going to go after next? CBS? Some of the comments on the other side, these comments here that I just read were on the left. Now let's look at the comments on the right. Having to pay towards a presidential museum, that is even worse than just paying the money outright. ABC should pay more than that. The lies, the blatant propaganda they have pumped out as truth must never happen again. Canceling The View should be now to avoid more lawsuits. Yeah, it's been a little while since Sonny Hoskins had to read a legal note. I hope there are more of these. ABC is not the only news outlet that has made these claims. The only way the legacy media and these people will change their ways is through being held accountable for their lies. Good start. The propagandists are literally being forced to fund Trump Museum. Amazing. So I hope there's more of this. I think the legacy media needs to be held accountable for the crap that they've done for the last, I'll give them a break. I'll say 10 years, but it's actually been longer than that if you've ever followed along. Fortunately for me, I have followed along because I've listened to talk radio going back to the early 1990s. I've seen this play out for the last 30 years, 30 plus years. And it's about time that we have somebody that's got a set and is saying, enough. if they're going to go out there and put out misstatements and false statements, I'm going to sue them and hit them where it hurts the most, these corporations, and that's in their pocketbook. So good. And they can all just whine and cry and say, "Oh, this is a scary moment. This can't be allowed to happen." Well, no, it needs to happen. It needs to happen. Because maybe, just maybe, the mainstream media will get the message. I doubt it, but it might happen. So, last thing I want to touch on for this past weekend, and that's Nancy Pelosi. It was reported late last week, I think it was Friday, that Nancy Pelosi had a little accident and fell and broke her hip while in Luxembourg, of all places. Well, it turns out Nancy Pelosi on Saturday underwent a successful hip replacement and is well on the mend. All I got to say about this is that it's time. It is way past time for some of these people to leave Congress. I mean, you talk about Joe Biden being 82 years old and not fit for office. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, 84 years old, not fit for office. Mitch McConnell, who just face planted last week while at a luncheon. Not to mention his multiple times he's blanked out in press conferences. He needs to retire. He needs to go. There is no reason why a member of Congress should die at that age while serving in Congress. Congress is not meant to be a nursing home. But it is. We have all these out of touch career politicians who don't represent us, by the way. They represent themselves, their own power, their own self-interests. Why do you think they all get rich when they leave their position in government? All of them, their net worth increases while they're in government. A congressional salary is $174,000. But yet they leave Congress millionaires. And it's all because they don't want to, they get addicted to the power. The notoriety, the fame. They could rub elbows with the who's who in Washington, D.C. and in New York and Los Angeles. They could have all these Hollywood stars, quote unquote stars, just gush over them and support them in their policies and what they believe this country should be. I got two things when it comes to this. A, term limits. It'll never happen because Congress is not going to term limit themselves. They're not going to vote for themselves to have term limits. They want to keep their power. B, primary these people. Get them out. That's been a big thing here since Donald Trump was reelected president with his cabinet nominations. You rhinos in the Senate, you don't want to confirm Trump's cabinet nominations? You're going to get primary. They're going to toss you out on your ear. I'm tired of hearing and seeing this. Well, Pete Hegseth did this and this and this and this. Well, it's all been proven to be wrong. And it's anonymous sources at Fox said that Pete Hegseth did this. Yeah, well, there's sources that come out and name themselves that say the opposite. Kash Patel shouldn't be FBI director because he's not qualified. Kash Patel's more than well qualified to be FBI director. You know, when Matt Gaetz was nominated to Attorney General and they put the pressure on him to have him step down, that's when they knew they could do it again to Pete Hegseth. Well, Pete Hegseth isn't backing down. Now they're going after Tulsi Gabbard, saying she's a Russian plant. I'm sorry. No. Next, they're going to go after RFK Jr. because they're afraid. See, thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter, because that's given some power back to the people. Jody Ertz found out real quick, Ertz. She found out real quick. And she has since relented and said, yeah, I think she came out and said, I'm going to vote for Pete Hegseth for defense secretary. You know, I'm just tired of phony politicians. Be real. Be real. If you win your next election, great. If you don't win your next election, great. I'm sure you'll get a cushy job as a consultant somewhere, or as a what I want to say, as a lobbyist somewhere. I mean, we're tired of phony politicians that put on a face for the public and then act differently when the cameras are turned off. So, you know, Nancy Pelosi had hip replacement surgery after Mitch McConnell fell. So it's time for these people to move on, get out of Congress, get out of the way, allow a younger generation to get in there. And we, the people, need to elect people that actually will go and represent us and not represent themselves. So that's just my 2 cents. On Monday, December the 16th, 2024. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Gonna do this again. Same bat time, same bat channel, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. And again, apologize for the little snafu at the beginning with my mic being turned off. So people are going to laugh at that. That's fine. I don't care. You can agree with me, disagree with me. You can make fun of me. I understand I'm new at this live streaming thing. I'll work the bugs out eventually. And you know what? If you can't laugh at yourself, then, you know. So I hope everybody has a great, great, great Monday.